We are now going to call this meeting, this executive committee meeting of Brooklyn People to order. Madam Secretary, prepare to take minutes.
Sure.
Please note, we are calling to order at 7:11 p.m. Okay, so for item one, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening for our first executive committee meeting for the 2025-2026 year. The summer just flew by. I hope everyone had a restful summer, joyful, and I hope everyone is ready for a good and exciting year as we embark on this next year for Community Board 9. I want to thank all the officers in advance. As a matter of fact, we begin with just an introduction of the officers who are present.
Hi, my name is Linda Watson-Lauren. I'm the Executive Secretary of CB9. Nice to meet you all.
My name is Felice Robertson. I am Second Vice Chair of CB9.
And Fred Baptiste, Chair of the Board. At this time, I would also like to take an opportunity for the staff to introduce themselves as well, and one staff member in particular. Go ahead, Dante.
Good evening, Dante Arnwine, District Manager, CB9.
Good evening, Allison Henry, the new Community Associate. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you very much. So she's broken the news herself, so this is our new Community Associate. She just started with us today. We want to thank her. She comes very, very well qualified and prepared, and we look forward, and we're very thankful to have you aboard, and we hope that you really get a great experience here at CB9.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, all right. We are now going to go on to item 2, the committee chair check-ins. So I would think we will start education with the Soul Jemima.
Hi, so the Chair of Youth and Education Committee. Is that how we say it right now? Is it?
Youth Education Library, yeah.
Okay, yeah, Youth Education Library. We work with the community in terms of education from K to 12, and then that's for the education side, and then the youth services side is from 16 to 21-year-olds. So we're thinking about what we need to do in the community for young adults.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we know we just started. Were there anything you discussed at your meeting, or?
Yeah. So this our first meeting was last Tuesday, and we basically just went over what we was able to accomplish last year, which was the education panel, which was excellent. We had Rita Joseph, Shanann Lindsay, who's the superintendent, as well as we had a potluck for politicians, which Assemblywoman Farrah Forrest attended, and Rita Joseph attended with parents, so parents could have an opportunity to talk to politicians and know what services is available in their offices that will help them if they need it. We also did a youth and young adult job fair at the School of the Deaf, and we had a great attendance. Over 100 students attended, and we had vendors there for them this year. And so our goal is to continue on with that. And in addition to that, we like to resume doing our community cleanup and our Feed the Community Day, which we had been doing most years. We just didn't do it last year. And we're gonna see if we could fit in like the Family Fun Day, which is something we've been saying we wanted to do for a long time. But we know a lot of planning goes into the 2 big events that we have. So we're gonna establish next meeting as to what's manageable and what we can do. So that's pretty much like what our staples and what we want to continue to do for this school year.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, and just to add to that as well, I definitely want to continue a conversation that we started a while ago in terms of youth services and education and library. So we have been practicing the 2 of them, those committees meeting jointly. So I definitely want to have a conversation with you as well and the committee in terms of if it's time that we just make it actually a formal thing and join that. Now, in order for us to do that, that would be something that would be an actual bylaws amendment, since it's a standing committee per the bylaws. So we'll discuss that. We'll discuss to change it, what the naming structure should be, and what the goals of the task of the reconstituted committee would be, but keeping that same membership. Okay, but that'll be a conversation. We'll have that, and we'll bring that back before the board, and it'll go through the appropriate process into the bylaw. Okay. Are there any questions for the Education Library Social Services Chair? Okay, seeing that, we're going to go on. Suki, do you have a report for tonight?
Yes. Okay, so we got off to a running start as usual. We heard our first variance application for 350 Troy Avenue. It's a religious Jewish girls' school that wants to expand an existing building that they have from 3 stories to 6 stories. It covers the full lot, so it's quite a big building, actually. Right now, they don't have space for a gym, they don't have space for a lot of their classes, classrooms are being combined, they're having teaching classes in the lunchroom, etc. They have a waiting list, people that they want to let in, they want to expand from grades 1 through 9 to grades 1 through 12, etc. I mean, it certainly looks like there's demand for this. And so they already did one variance at the BSA back in 2005, because they're an R4 district, which normally only allows like small homes. And they're going back for a second one. So I think the main concerns from the committee were 3. First of all, keeping the students safe during construction, since they're building on the existing building, and they said that they're going to try to do most of the construction during the summer. So, that's something to keep an eye on. The second thing is, since this is the second time they're coming back to ask for an expansion, I guess there were questions around, at what point are they gonna, stop asking, because their, community's not gonna stop growing likely, and so they said, no, this is definitely it. We asked if they were, considering their space needs, maybe they would just look at getting another building. It's across the street from that vacant lot at 341 Troy, which we, heard a variance for before, still not doing any construction over there. And they actually said something surprising, which is that they tried to buy or lease the Verizon building across the street. And then the third thing definitely was community engagement. We wanted them to really reach out to the surrounding neighbors and talk to them about what their concerns might be. Esteban offered to help them door knock in apartment buildings in the area. They expressed a willingness to meet with the block associations and stuff like that. So we've decided to wait until we hear some of the community feedback before issuing a recommendation. They don't have a date with the BSA yet. So we're hoping that the office stays in touch with them to make sure they're getting the community feedback. If there's any notices of community meetings or anything that they intend to hold, hopefully the office can also disseminate those. Then we talked about old business. The charter revision commission is doing ballot amendments, which everyone is going to have to vote for in November. So 3 of the amendments are related to significant changes to the ULURP process that are designed to facilitate the faster construction of housing. The city council over the summer had asked the Board of Elections not to certify these ballot amendments because they felt that they were not fully transparent about the fact that they were going to be taking away the voice of the city council, which is really the only elected body in the ULURP process to represent people's concerns, including affordable housing and services. So the Board of Elections ultimately certified them anyway, so they will be on the ballot. And so CV9, the ULURP committee members felt that we needed to educate voters about this because it's potentially there's actually hundreds of pages of zoning code changes that go along with these 1-paragraph amendments. And most people, ourselves included, are not going to know what all of the implications are. And it certainly affects the community boards because, although we have a recommendation, that really only has weight through our council members. They're the people that we could really hold accountable in this process. And there are many instances in which these amendments would remove council approval. So, we looked at the calendar, we voted 8-1 to do like some sort of a forum or a town hall, to educate people about ballot amendments. We thought about maybe getting a zoning expert to speak about these changes and what they mean. It was also suggested that we should reach out to the city council members, so I think maybe just like a simple letter, you know, to ask them, you know, how, if they're planning on, you know, if they're planning on doing anything, or just like, you know, just to have a meeting or something so that we can talk about what they're planning on doing. And then we identified 3 dates that are not gonna be Jewish holidays, according to our board member who is observant. September the 29th, September the 30th, and October the 9th. So we'd like to, you know, go forward and start planning that. I don't know if this is something that we wanna have the board vote on. Oh yes, and we also had a long discussion about the fact that the community board cannot, because these are ballot amendments, the community board cannot express an opinion, but we can educate.
It was also asked that the elected officials come to the town hall meeting and be
Yes,
present and do their own presentations if they want to explain to their constituents exactly the ramifications of these proposals.
So I think probably like, is it possible for the office to send a letter to the elected officials? And then, in terms of like holding a forum, I don't know if do we need money for this? Like, do we need a budget? I don't think so.
Well, that really depends on what is it you're looking at doing. So depending on how large, what format you want to do, I would think it's minimal. It's probably really more of getting a space, but if there's additional things you wanted to do, that we would require that
Need to
information.
approve. Okay.
Well, I would think that one thing you would provide some kind of water or snacks or something like that, because this is an evening time. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a large budget for something, because it's an evening and it always attracts people if you say refreshments in the flyer.
Now, I do know,
Is that possible? Do you have to vote on it?
Oh, well, let's let her finish the report first. and then
I
we'll-
do know that when some community boards have, I think we should try to find out from other community boards if they've actually hired zoning experts, like if they paid them something to do this analysis on their behalf. You know, potentially we can, you know, potentially if there's multiple community boards doing this, I don't know. But I'll try and find out.
Yeah, I
But
think-
normally you pay an addendum to the presenter if you have finances. About $250 normally is the going rate, but, you know, in community board.
That we'd have, because I mean, honorary and stuff like that
Yeah.
gets a little bit touchy, but we can check into it.
But
what
some
is-
will do it for free.
Right. Well, here's the main thing. So I think if you could do this, if you could at least draft in terms of
Right.
draft a, agenda, of what this forum is, proposed dates. They don't have, we can be flexible on those if we need to move those
Right.
around, but what you're looking for. So you require AV, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Dante can check to see if there's anything we can do on the refreshment side. If you give us an estimate in terms of how big you're looking at for this, so that way you can check in terms of venues that are available.
I mean, I'd like.
The letter to the, the letter to elected officials,
Yeah.
that's not a problem. We can do it, but I think once we at least outline what exactly this we're doing, we can
Okay,
tell them this is what you're
Okay.
we're doing, and, we're.
Oh, I forgot flyers.
Yeah, that is fine too. But, and that's what I'm saying, so all those resources that you
Yeah.
require for this part of the event.
okay,
Yeah, if there's anything TBA, or TBD, that's okay.
yeah,
If you can at least give us that rough format, or at the very least, think for the board meeting, we can at least confirm the date, and even a tentative budget if necessary, just so
yeah,
we
I
can
mean,
get
that
started.
depends on when the venues are available.
And that's probably gonna be, but I think at the very least, we want the board to approve the event,
Definitely.
the principle of the event, and then we can figure out the details and hash that out.
And can I just ask, please do not have it at School of the Deaf. I'm putting it on the record.
Alright,
And you know why, right? I don't have to explain it, right?
Acoustics.
Thank you, because it's important, there's gonna be a lot of senior people there, it will be a disaster, so let's avoid the school of the deaf.
That was horrendous.
Yeah, that's never gonna work for us. We did one ourselves and we learned the hard way.
What else? 7399 Empire. Many of you have already heard the news. The rezoning was approved by the city council last year to go up to 13 stories with a 20% with an MIH requirement. 20% has to be at or below 40% of the AMI. But the original developer flipped the site to another developer for like a lot of money, like more than twice what he paid. So the next developer has to do the MIH, but it kind of begs the question if there was like enough profit in this for two developers, like, do they need that big enough building in the first place to do this amount of affordable housing?
And also the amount of affordable housing is less than the proposal that was presented to us, because they chose the option 3, which is 20%. So they're only going to be providing 54 units and not the 86 that they stated in their original application.
And then what happens also to some of the promises that are not written into law, like, we'd ask for things like affordable commercial space for small businesses and parking might not be the same, et cetera, et cetera. So, I think that's something to talk about going forward, that if people have requests relating to things other than housing, it's thinking about mechanisms for enforcing that, because it's very common that developers will sell a site after making an agreement with the city. And so, so we had the public comment. There was a woman who came, she's concerned about a 12-story building that's being proposed for the St. Francis of Assisi campus on Maple, just past Nostrand Avenue. I don't think they're asking for a rezoning, it's as of right, but this speaks to another issue that's kind of outstanding in our district. It's an enormous piece of land. They're not using, all of the available FAR, and so they're transferring air rights to one small place on the lot, and that's how they're getting a really tall building.